The sound of waves crashing on the shore, the salty air, the promise of an unforgettable summer. That's what we were looking for. Me, Liam, Chloe, and Ben. We'd saved up all year for this trip, and we found the perfect place online, the Siren's Rest, a charming, slightly dilapidated beach house perched right on the edge of the sand, miles from the nearest town. It looked like a postcard from another era, weathered wood and a sprawling porch overlooking the endless ocean. The price was almost too good to be true. Now we know why. The first day was bliss. We swam, we laughed, we blasted music from a portable speaker and didn't have to worry about neighbors. The house itself was quirky. The floors creaked with every step. A cold draft seemed to follow you even when the windows were shut, and some of the doors had a habit of sticking. We just called it character. That first night, as a storm rolled in over the ocean, we huddled in the living room, telling stories. That's when Chloe mentioned she felt like we were being watched. We laughed it off, blaming the spooky shadows cast by the swinging lantern on the porch. The second day, things started to feel off. Liam was the first to notice. He'd left his sunglasses on the kitchen counter, but later found them on the mantelpiece in the living room. He accused us of messing with him, but we all swore we hadn't touched them. Later that afternoon, I was in the shower when I heard a faint melody, like an old music box, coming from downstairs. When I went to check, the house was silent except for the rhythmic crash of the waves. I told myself it was just the wind, the old house settling. You start making excuses for things you can't explain. That night, none of us slept well. Ben, who could sleep through an earthquake, woke us all up with a yell. He swore he saw a woman standing at the foot of his bed, her hair dripping with what looked like seawater, just staring at him. By the time we flicked on the lights, she was gone. But there on the floor, where she would have been standing, was a small, damp patch on the wooden floorboards, smelling faintly of salt and decay. The laughter was gone. The fun had evaporated, replaced by a thick, creeping dread. We weren't alone in the Siren's Rest. The next morning, we decided to investigate. In the dusty attic, tucked away in a sea chest, we found a collection of old journals. They belonged to different families, different people, all dating back nearly a century. But they all told the same story. They wrote of whispers in the walls, of figures seen at the edge of their vision, of a woman who roamed the halls at night, weeping for a lover lost at sea. They all described the same cold spots, the same feeling of being watched. They were all tenants of this house. The last entry in the most recent journal was chilling. It just said, "She doesn't want us to leave. She wants us to stay forever." That's when the house turned on us. The doors wouldn't just stick anymore. They would slam shut and lock themselves. The faint melody I'd heard was now a constant looping tune that seemed to come from the walls themselves, driving us mad. Whispers echoed through the halls, our names carried on an icy breeze. We'd see her everywhere, a fleeting glimpse in a mirror, a shadowy figure standing on the porch, her long dark hair swirling in a wind that we couldn't feel. She wasn't just a sad spirit anymore. She was possessive, angry that we were in her house. The storm that had been brewing offshore for days finally hit, cutting us off completely. The power went out, plunging us into near total darkness. The only light came from the violent flashes of lightning that illuminated the terrifying scene inside. Objects flew off shelves, smashing against the walls. The temperature dropped until we could see our own breath. Chloe was crying in a corner. and Liam was trying to break down the front door, which wouldn't budge, as if held by an invisible force. The spirit was no longer hiding. We could feel her rage, a physical pressure in the air. She was a tangible presence, her sorrow twisted into a malevolent force that wanted to add us to its collection of lost souls. Ben, trying to be the hero, found a box of old candles. As he lit one, its flame cast a horrifying shadow on the wall. It was the woman, but her face was contorted in a silent scream, her form towering over a smaller shadow bends. He screamed as an unseen force threw him across the room. We knew then that we weren't just dealing with a ghost. We were fighting for our lives. This house wasn't a vacation spot. It was a trap, and the siren was calling us to our doom. We huddled together in the center of the living room, a tiny island of terror in a sea of spectral rage. The whispers were deafening now, a chorus of voices from all the past tenants, all the souls trapped within these walls. "Stay with us," they moaned. "Join us." We saw their faces in the flashes of lightning, gaunt, terrified, trapped. The woman stood in the doorway, no longer a shadow, but a solid, shimmering form. Her eyes were black pits of despair, and as she raised her hand towards us, the entire house groaned, the wood splintering, the foundations shaking, as if the ocean itself was trying to reclaim it. I don't know what possessed me. Maybe it was desperation. I remembered the journals, the story of the lover lost at sea. I screamed her name, the one we'd read in the oldest journal, Elara. I yelled that her lover wasn't here, that he was gone, lost to the waves forever, and that we weren't him. For a moment, a flicker of recognition, of immense sadness, crossed her face. The rage subsided, replaced by an agony so profound it was a physical blow. The house stopped shaking. The whispers quieted. It was our only chance. The front door creaked open. We didn't wait. We scrambled out into the raging storm, not looking back, running blindly along the beach. We never saw the sirens rest again. We just kept running until we hit the main road and flagged down a car. We didn't tell them the whole story. Who would believe us? We just said our car broke down. We left everything behind: our clothes, our phones, our summer dreams. Sometimes late at night, when the wind howls, I can still hear that faint, sad melody, and I can almost smell the salt and decay. We escaped, but a part of us, I think, is still trapped there, in that haunted house by the sea. Another story to be found in a dusty journal by the next unlucky tenants. So if you ever see a beach house for rent that seems too good to be true, just keep driving. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories. Stay safe out there.